We're here again at the garage rewire. We're just about to get started, so I'll just turn around and show you what we're doing. So, as you saw before on the other video, we're going to replace this board with a Fusebox board, which I'll show you in a second. So the plan today is we're going to take that board off the wall, get the new board on and fired up. So we need to get rid of that socket because that's going into that amazing mess. As you can, it is very messy, this the wiring here. It's all a bit of a shambles really. So that radial circuit is going to get redone, but it'll be redone properly. Taking it off that junction box, that cable up one, and then it's going to an outside light without a fuse spur, so that's coming off there. And the cable you can see over there is going all the way down there, it's going to the boiler. So we're leaving that in place. We'll stick it on its own MCB and do that. There's a ring there as well. That's going over there for some reason. As we said before, there's 3 cables going to it, but I don't know why yet. We'll find out. Another junction box is just hanging from the ceiling, not attached. So anyway, that's the sort of thing we're going to be doing. This garage is attached to the house. This cable here, that's running all the way down there, I'm going to identify in a minute. I'm not sure if it's a 4 or a 6. I'm going to treat this install as an extension, not as a garage consumer board. Effectively it is going to be an extension because we're going to have workshop tools, American fridge freezer, wash machine, tumble dryer. So I'm not sure whether that cable after all is going to cut it. That's my mistake, but at least I know about it now and realise now before I've got right to the end of this project. The actual consumer board for the house is actually the other side of this wall, so if I have to replace it, it's not going to be a major job. And whether I have to do my own CPC, I don't know yet. I may do the good old adiabatic calculation, if I've said that correctly, and don't shoot me if I haven't, just to see if the CPC is going to be adequate to do this. I've already tested the RCD back at the board and it passed no problem. And some of the checks I've done, the wiring is fine, so I want to try and keep the wiring. I just want to run it properly, and it's all going to be properly segregated. So I'll take you over to the board. So here we are. This the Fusebox board I got from Master Trade. It's a Fusebox, just for people. It's an F2007M. It's got 7 ways. So basically goes with the main switch. It's got a blank there for an SPD if I needed to use it. I won't be on this one. I bought some more of these blanks. They just look like MCBs, but there's nothing in them. Rather than using metal blanks, I'm using those, and a whole load of MCBs as well. Don't need RCBs with this. RCDs with this, sorry, because the RCD is protecting the whole thing in the house. I think that would have been too much of a faff to muck about with the one in the house. I'm not going to do that today. I'll do all the other bits that comes with it. We're going to do rear entry, because we've got 2 rear entry things on here. So if I take you back to where we are over here, as you can see, this is nicely mounted on the board already with the cables running down the back. So I'm going to neaten up those cables and probably put them in white trunking up to the roof, and then come down behind and then into the back. How much spare cabling I've got behind there, I won't know until I get this off the wall. However, today is we're going to get rid of that plug, rid of that cable, keep the junction box as it is just for the time being, get that off the wall, get the new Fusebox board on the board, get the existing cables cabled in, so there'll be less of a load anyway, so I'm not worried about replacing that cable I showed you earlier on today. Get it all back up, get it powered back up, and then that's probably going to take me the best part of today to get that all on, if it all goes according to plan, of course. And nothing ever does. Plan A never works, does it? So I've got plan B through to D at the moment, if nothing. And then next week I'm coming back in on Monday and I'm going to completely rejig everything here. So but I'll go through what the client wants to be done on that later. I just want to get this on the wall and done. I'll try, I haven't done this before with my GoPro, but I'm going to try a time lapse on the installation and see how that works. So we're going to get that off the wall, that disconnected, and then we'll worry about that. It's all been safely isolated in the house. There's no power coming into here down that line, so I'm perfectly safe, but I am going to double check it. I'm not going to get caught out, and then we'll do it from there. Okay, so here we are with the board off the wall. Now it looks like we're going to have no problems with this. That cable is a 6mm, so those two cables are 6. Its associated CPC will be a 2.5. It might actually be good enough, but I will double check the calculations. So here's the stripped down. Hang on. Here's the stripped down board. Now, as you can see, if I mount it, there we go. If I mount it in that kind of neck of the wood, you can see those two back knockouts are going to line up nicely with those holes. If I just bring it down, they're going to line up really quite nicely, so I'm quite happy with that. My only concern is, if you can see, that the shortest of all the cables is the radial to the boiler. Now what I could temporarily do is take away that clip just to give me a bit of length, because what it's doing, that cable is only going to that junction box. Just so I can get this all powered up, I might just take that clip off and get that on. I'm going to replace this entire radial cable anyway to the boiler. There's no point having that junction box anymore, because I've taken away the light and the associated plug socket which was on there, if you remember. They've all gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock out those knockouts, put on the grommet strips, and then I'm going, well, I don't need the grommet strips just yet. I'm going to put it on, mark out where I need to screw it onto the wall, and get that mounted on the wall, and then we can start working out where we're going to put everything. Quick update. So I've actually did decide to put the grommet strips in because I don't want to break the cables. So as you can see, that's still on there. That's going to sit really well. I screwed it on there. That's going to sit really nicely, and there's plenty of length in these cables. On most of them anyway. As I say, there's one I'm a bit concerned about. I don't think it will. What I like about these Fusebox boards is I've taken away the DIN rail, which is going to make mounting this really nice. I like them. I can see why people like them, to be honest. Yeah, really nice. Lots and lots of room in this thing. Anyway, so we'll get this on the wall. Let's just balance that on there. There we go. We get that on the wall, and then we'll see where we go on how much length from these cables we've got and what I'm going to have to do with them if I haven't. I'm not going to do a time lapse on this after all. I have bought the camera, but I'll be honest, I just want to get this on the wall. I'm not going to dress it this time. I just want to get it on the wall because there's a fridge in here, and you know, I don't want that off for too long. I just want to get this on the wall, get it tested, and yeah, in fact, actually I will do the test in a minute. I'll do a ring final test, and I'll do a radial test as well. But I'll do those while they're all disconnected. Just very quick, another shout for this thing. It is absolutely brilliant. So get it to focus. Marksman. 2 of those from Amazon. Absolutely brilliant for marking out holes and things. This gets used all the time. In fact, I'm probably going to have to get a new one soon. So yeah, invaluable tool this. Okay, quick update as to where we're up to. So what I've done is I have actually taken this off and widened the holes at the back. And I've unclipped the cables to give me a bit of length. Yes, it looks untidy, but just bear in mind all these cables are actually going to be replaced because all the sockets are moving. So the cables aren't going to be long enough anyway, so they're all going to have to go. The only cables that are going to stay are the 2 lighting cables, which are absolutely fine anyway. So it isn't going to be the neatest board today, but then I'm going to relay most of these cables anyway, so then it'll all be nice and neat. The priority today is to get this board in and cabled up, so I've got nice links now of the cables. I may decide to even increase the size of that hole a bit more, but I need a different thing on my multi-tool to do that. Anyway, so we're going to get this all cabled up. I've got my Armeg torque screwdriver with me, which I'd left behind, but I've got it now. The Fusebox instructions have got all the torque settings, so we'll get this all torqued up and installed, I think. Get it all done. yeah, get it all done, and let's see if we can get it all powered up. Toying with the idea whether to actually do any tests, because as I'm going to be replacing all these cables anyway, I'm just wondering if it's worth doing a dead test. Not sure yet. So this is my, I don't know if I've actually shown it before, but I don't think I have. This is my Armeg toolkit. So we've got the main body, which is this bit here. It's got the things on the back, and to adjust that you've got, oh hang on, you've got the torque adjuster, which is that, to turn it round. And the main one I use for the boards is normally that one, to be honest with you. I haven't used the other two, to be fair. I haven't found anything that this doesn't go into. So anyway, that all connects into there, and that turns it up. So in the book comes with the fuse box, which I'm assuming it goes with it. So we've got nice table there. You know, I'm actually considering sticking that on the side of the board, so I remember what it all is. Anyway, so let's get this done. Okay, just a quick one, because I just had some real fun and games trying to get these Fusebox fuses back off because I put them in the wrong order. But to get it off, you loosen the black thing under there. You can't really see it, but it's down there. You have to pull that down, and you lift up and forward, and then rock back, and it comes out. Goes in like that. Let's go back a bit. Right, so you rock it forward at the bottom, lift up and rock out. Once more, rock forward at the bottom and lift out. Put in, and then you have to latch that black thing. That's clicked, and then tighten the screw. Okay, just before people start saying, what is that? I'm working with the cables I've got, basically. The whole point of getting today's work done is to get this on the board and done. Because I didn't know what I was going to let myself in for when I started this job today. So everything's all connected in. I've got to power it up anyway in a minute. But the cable lengths, I'm sure the electricians come to this when they're doing rewiring. The cables just aren't long enough, really, to be put in properly. So you can see here, that is the ring cable number 1. The other part of the ring is over here. That should be in with that one in number 1. The rest are okay. We're in 2, 3. I couldn't reach. Hang on. We're in 2, 4 and 5 because I couldn't reach 3. And the earths again aren't cabled up. Aren't cabled quite the way I'd like them, and it's not dressed the way I'd like either, to be honest. Well, the fact of the matter is I've got to get this power back up in here, and it's a big job. All these cables are being taken out and later, but I can't actually do that until we've actually worked out where all the sockets are going, which we haven't done yet. But unfortunately the sockets are powering a washing machine and a fridge over there, so we've got to get them back on. And then we're going to, next week, we're going to basically get all these cables the right length, and this board will be dressed properly. Because at the moment it isn't. But I'm the only person who's going to come in here. No one else is going to be doing that. So, you know, for the sake of just a day or two, I think, you know, it's fine. It'll do. Maybe other electricians wouldn't do it the same way as I've done it. I'm on a tight schedule because of a family, so I've got to get this done and out the door so I can get my kids from school and then come back and carry on. Main thing is safety for me. As long as this installation is safe, as long as it works, as long as the client is happy, I'm happy. Come back next week, it'll be dressed absolutely as it's supposed to be, neatly, with the cables going in the right direction. So no copper showing. I've had to cut a few things off shorter. The blanks are in place, and we'll have a look at the board when the cover's on. So, as you can see, some success. New board all wired in on the old cabling. We've got lights, we've got a boiler working, we've got plugs working. Just to show you that the plugs are working, I get my little tester. Just plug them in. There. Right, so that's the first stage of this job now done. I've just put some general notes on those circuit breakers. That middle one isn't connected to anything, that's why it's off. So far so good. So coming in next week, and we'll make good all these cables. Those sockets are being relocated. They're actually going to come down nearer to the worktop, and then we've got more sockets to go on this wall. Somewhere along this wall anyway. So this will all be gone, and we'll put some more sockets in here. And then we've got to rewire that light properly. And then there's going to be an outdoor socket going on that wall, and that'll be run from its own 20 amp breaker. That's the one that's off, so that'll run on its own 20 amp. The two lights that are there, one will run the interior lights and the other one will run all the external lights. We've got the 32 amp breaker, that's going to run the kitchen sockets. It's also going to run the water heater. I'm going to run at the moment the water heater's running off the one next to it where it says sockets. It's running off that one, which is the one, the funny thing that's going off on that one. So what I'm going to do is the water heater will run off a fuse spur from the ring on the 32 amp, and that will free up the 20 amp for me to run to the workshop tools, which will be down at the far end of that garage. So I think, yeah, cool. I like the fuse box. Really nice, loads of room inside as you saw, plenty of room to dress it properly, which is what I will do. I might actually increase the size of the hole behind it when I rerun the cables, and then obviously at the top I'm going to probably put some white trunking in just to really neaten that up. Whether I'm going to rerun that 6mm, I don't know yet. It's running over there, it's running along there and then into there. I need to check the regs to see if that's okay to do, or whether I should actually have that in trunking or conduit really. But worry about that next week. Good morning everybody. So we're on the back doing the garage rewire, which has come out of doing a outdoor socket. So when I left you last time, I got the Fusebox new consumer board on the wall. Since then, I'll show you what's been done over here. So there's the board, and we've got this 20mm conduit, that's a metal saddle, coming down here, and this is a new socket. This will be for the workbench. So this is on its own 20 amp radial thing. You can see the old cables are still here. Now we're on plan C for this, because I've not been able to get behind those. That's a gas pipe and hot water pipes, and as you can see, those cables are leaning right on them, and they are quite warm because of the hot water pipes. So that's not ideal. That's not really how that should be done. Now I've had some interesting problems, because trying to get past that with conduit and all sorts, I've not been able to do. It is actually flush with the wall, which I don't know whether you can see. There's no way of doing it, and I can't go over the top of them. So what I've decided to do is I am going to run a lot of those. The only three cables that will be left over there are the lighting cables and the main cable coming in. They're staying. The rest of it's all being, I'm yanking it all out, and I'm putting in 20mm conduit. And then there'll be three groups of singles going through that conduit, which is perfectly fine if you refer to the on-site guide and the grouping of cables within conduits. That's absolutely fine. So there'll be 9 cables there, 6 2.5s and 3 1.5 singles. The 2 lots of 3 will be the ring, and the last lot of 3 will be a radial going to the socket, which I'll show you in a second. So that's all going to come along here. All that conduit's going to come along here. Then it's coming down this wall. That's what we decided to do. We're going to go round the back underneath this workbench. We're going to feed the cable, the conduit, on that set of bricks between those pipes and that wood. We're going along here behind the washing machine, and then there's a route up. And we're going coming up here where the boiler is. These old sockets are going. These sockets are here, which I've prefab recated already. Slight change to them, which I'll do later. They're coming up on the wall, 150 from the worktop, which will be in line with that one over there, because that is effectively 150 from the worktop they're putting in. The other piece of work I've done is here is the outdoor socket, or the outdoor socket I've actually put on the wall on the outside. 20mm conduit going through the wall, and then the cable will go through that conduit. I just find it neater doing it that way. On the other end, that was a 25mm drill bit that was I ended up using on that. On the other end, there's a connector which connects into the back of the outside box, so it's all nicely connected up, and the same thing will happen here. As you can see, the usual problem, I've had a bit of a blowout on the bricks, but that's not a problem with it's indoors. So that's where we are, that's where we're doing. See how far we can get today with all this. I'm going backwards basically. I'm going from here back to the board with the conduit, because I think it's just going to be the easiest way to do things. So I'll be mounting the accessories as I go backwards to the board. There's got to be a new fuse spur. She's on this messy desk somewhere. New fuse spur for the boiler is going to go. I'm going to relocate the fuse spur, because it's over here at the moment. It's behind there. So I'm going to relocate that over here, and the boiler will be on a fuse spur from the ring final circuit I'm putting in. So there'll be 2 radials, the one by the workshop at that end of the room, and another radial going outside. Why have I done a radial? Because they are potentially going to be using some patio heaters outside, which are going to be in the region of 2.3 to 2.5 kilowatts. On the ring, there's going to be American fridge freezers, washing machines, all sorts. So it's just not going to work. So I've decided to put the outdoor stuff on its own circuit. So that's where we are, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay, just a quick video update where we're up to. I've taken a quick couple of pictures which I'll put up on the same video feed. So here we are. Those are the new plugs. That is the appalling mess that it's replacing. And down here is that goes to the outdoor socket. The cable, or the my mind has just gone completely blotto. The conductors, sorry, the 3 conductors coming down there are on the radial 20 amp circuit. These are on the ring, so there's 9 cables coming in there. 3 go up into here, 3 go into there, 3 go back, 3 go to here, because that's a fuse spur for the boiler, and then 3 are going through that box, and down to there. So I'm going to have to make sure I mark that up, that is not a spur off the ring, it's on its own radial circuit. I don't know, I've not seen anything in the regs to say you can't do that, but to me that was the neatest solution to do. So the radial circuit, it's actually coming straight through both those boxes and straight out down there. So I will label it up, and there'll be a circuit diagram next to the circuit details next to the new consumer board, so I will mark it all up so that it's all quite clear, and I might put a label on the outside box to say that is on the circuit 1 radial, these are circuit 2 ring, and that's a spur off the ring. Anyway, the next thing I'm doing is this. I'm going to put a hole in that piece of brick. and then we're going to run this piece of plastic conduit through it, rather than me having to go round it, which I think will be a pain in the neck. And then we'll come down here somewhere, because there's a gap in the worktop, as you can see. And I can get the pipe down without drilling through the worktop. So yeah, so we'll do that, and then that pipe will end up over here, that conduit, so we'll end up over here, and get rid of all this spaghetti nonsense that's going on. So there you go. So we've got that a nice set put in there. Saddles need to go on. But we've got a nice set going on there from the board going up to the conduit. Who needs flexicon? You just need a bendy spring and a strong knee. Anyway, so that's quite a set, and that is, look at that, that is perfect. Absolutely brilliant. Right, anyway, so that's going all the way on there. We've got saddles to put in, junction box. I've only done that because that counts as 2 bends. So playing it safe, getting an inspection box there. Another set into there, come past the door, so that's into the wall, and then we've got the last bit is work out the conduit that's going to go from there to attach to that, which goes all the way down there, and then all the way along here, behind all that stuff, up to all this. So just need to work out that bit. I should be able to do that. Anyway, so that's where we're up to. Okay, so just so we've done I've just about finished the PVC conduit now, so I'll just show how it's all gone. So nice, so we've got set work coming out the top of the box, up to an inspection bend, all the way along, another inspection point there, then we've got a set through the wall. There's a coupling inside the wall, another set and a coupling, and a inspection bend goes down the wall, another inspection bend at the bottom, goes along there, goes behind the washing machine, up to these 2 plugs are on a ring, or they'll be on the ring. Fuse connection unit will be on the spur, which controls the boiler, and then the other set of singles will come along here, which will be a radial, and that goes out to the outdoor plug point. So just to recap, the radial, the three singles for the radial will come up through there, through those 2 sockets, down that conduit, all the way back to the board, and the 6 singles also go through that conduit all the way along there, and the ring will be created in there. And just to prove the point, I have got something I made earlier. Any of those doubting Thomases out there that think 9 singles won't go through a 20mm conduit, oh yes they will. There's 9 there. 7 2.5s and 2 1.5s. 1.5s are the sink follows. So yeah, so the calculations in the on-site guide actually do work. There's even room to spare. Not saying it's going to be straightforward getting all that light through that, because it probably won't be, knowing my luck. But anyway, so that's all done, and then I'm going to run the singles, get all this new stuff up. Obviously I'll do the dead tests for the new radial and the new ring, and when that's all done and that's livened up, we'll take out all this spaghetti and it'll all look nice and neat. Okay, let's do an update as to where we're up to now. So as you can see, I've run the radio cable down there. I've labelled up the ends of the cable at both ends, so I know what I'm doing. So it's all into there. We've run into here. I've only Wagoed those up so I could just do a quick test of the ring, make sure the ring was actually functioning properly, and it is. A bit later today I'll do the proper tests and for the paperwork. Cable down the back is the radial to the outdoor socket. So there's 2 cables running through there, so 9 going through that bit. And we've got the other radial socket is there, and sorry, the other ring socket is there, and the radial there, and then we've got the fuse spur coming off the ring. So that then goes down that pipe down there, and then we're going. Oh, hang on. So it's on this pipe here through that bend. We've got 9 single cables through there. Up to there. We've made an adjustment. As you might have noticed, that those eagle eyes from earlier in the video is no longer down there because I couldn't get over there. So we're coming along here, we've got a junction box, and the cables coming from the sockets terminate here. Then the cables then go on to the consumer unit. Why have I done that? 2 reasons. One, I'm going to hold my hand up and I misjudged the length of the cable by about a foot. And secondly, it was really being a bit of a pain pulling all these cables through this 20mm cable. In hindsight, maybe I should have gone with 25 and reamed out the sockets. Maybe. But according to the OSG guide and BS7671, 9 cables through a 20mm PVC conduit is perfectly fine. If you check out the tables and stuff, I'll put a link to the table concerned in the video. I'll come up in a second probably. Anyway, the other reason putting a junction box in there is there may be a need for doing lights outside, and I could, if I wanted to, spur off the ring or the radial out to lights outside at that point. So putting that in actually it might actually work in my favour when I do the lights later on. Anyway, not a problem. They're 32 amp Wacos, by the way, and it's perfectly fine to do that. So we've got all the cables coming up through that box there, then we go through the wall. A lot of sets on this job, by the way. There's one there, there's actually one down there actually, and there's another one over there which is not connected yet. So it comes through that box there, along here. Now, very quickly, the reason for the number of inspection points is purely, again, the same reason why I can put 9 cables through this conduit. I wanted to make sure with the number of bends I've got in here that I still keep to the on-site guide on BS7671. So you'll find that none of these lengths are in excess of 3 meters, and I've counted up all the bends and everything is as it should be. Again, I will put a link to the tables concerned in the description. Anyway, so we've got to get those 9 cables into the board and terminate them. Again, they're all labelled at this end, so I know what cables are what, so I don't need to go hunting around for them anymore. So those cables will come down that conduit pipe into the board, and then once I've got them in the board, I'll fully do all the testing that I've got to do. And obviously we've got this radial coming down here which needs to be tested. The old cables then get ripped out, completely ripped out all the way down, back down to those sockets because they're not going to be needed. And then that's this part of the job done. And then the next part, as I've just indicated, is going to be there's going to be new outside lights. And obviously, like I say, I've got to do all the tests on this, new RTD tests, everything that's got to be tested on this board. So that's where we are. So I'm just going to hook up the outdoor socket and hook up all the sockets, and then we'll start the testing. Here we go, all the circuits are now in. Got them all down, all the conduit stuff. You can see kind of the ones I've dressed, which are these 3. It's off, by the way. These 4 all mine. Those 4 are all mine. Those 4 are all mine. The others are a bit. They're the existing lighting, but I will probably redress those. I'm not going to do those today. I'll redress those when I come to do the lighting next week. But we've dressed all those up. So I've had it all on. It's all working. All the dead tests have been done, so I'm happy with that. I do have to do an RCD test, but I'll do that later. One job's left. I need to get the boiler off the old circuit onto the new ring, so I'll do that next. So here we are, we're all finished. So we have a 3 amp fuse controlling the boiler, which you can see the Honeywell is all connected up, the boiler's all working, cable's all the way down there. Just need to tighten up that gland. That's what it used to be, so that's a dead cable. This is all dead now, and this is all the new circuit. I've tested it outside, it all works, so it all runs all the way through, as we said before, all the way back to the board, and all those cables all disappear, and then we're down to that new radial there, and it all disappears nice and neatly right round underneath there as well.